Hello, everyone. Let me share the screen first. Welcome to FNEN6820. I'm your instructor, Joe Lu. Before I start the class, let me just introduce myself. My name is Joe Lu. I've been in the financial industry for more than 20 years. I've worked at various financial institutions, banks, insurance companies, pension funds, and so on. I've been in the front office for a few years, did some research on investment strategies, and I've also managed investments on non-standard assets. So things like hedge funds, illiquid investments, and things that are not very standard, not the public market, not fixed income, and so on. So things that are typically out of the current typical categories of investment products. I, however, spent most of my professional career in risk management. I've worked at in a wide range of risk management areas, ranging from market risk, counterparty credit risk, risk policy to risk modeling, risk system implementation, risk data analytics, and so on. Currently, I'm with Scotiabank. I'm the director of capital market data analytics and reporting. Now, this course, FNEN6820, is a financial engineering course, but I believe many of you are from other areas as well, not just financial engineering. So, I hope the course benefit all of you. The course will have a large component in terms of quantifying financial assets. We're gonna take a look at many techniques that is typically utilized in the industry. So I hope that after this course, you've got enough background, and when you enter the workforce, you're comfortable with the way that people are dealing with financial assets, particularly anything related to pricing, hedging, and other issues with the financial assets. Now, this course is rather mathematical, but I'll try to give you more flavor to what the things behind the math. But certain basic mathematical skills are expected, and you should feel comfortable for doing some of the mathematical derivations. If you find yourself somewhat intimidated by the mathematical component of it, I will suggest you first go, brush up some of those topics. Typically, they are related to taking derivatives. Sometimes you have to do some integration. We're going to talk about stochastic calculus as well, and some statistics will also help. So, if it may be helpful that you brush up some of those topics. Now, this is our first class. I'm gonna do this recording because that will help many of you if you somehow didn't get a chance to come to class, or for whatever reason you want to review this topic. Having a video will be helpful, so you can watch it over and over again. Now, before we start, that's actually some housekeeping items. So for this course, you can email me if you have questions, and my email address is up there. And we typically have an office hour before the class. So I'm working as as well, full time. So time can be a factor. So I typically will make myself available 1 hour before the class. So if you have questions, you can come and ask me. It would be better if you let me know what kind of questions you're looking for, or that you're looking for an answer. So it will make it more efficient. I encourage you to ask any question during class. So I'm gonna videotape this kind of things, and then at the real online classes, then we can go over some of the items here. And then if you have seen the video earlier, you can actually come in and be more prepared and ask questions. Now there are 3 components related to the final grades. All the grades are going to be bell curved. So you will get a percentage initially, but just make sure you understand that the the grades are bell curve. So if you get 18 out of 20, depending on how other people are doing, so you will get a different type of grades depending on the whole class average. The average of the class, I'm aiming at B plus. So that's how we're gonna bell curve that. The 3 components are assignments, group projects, and a final exam. So you will have 2 assignments, each counts for 20% of your weight. That will get 40%, and then you have a group project that counts for 30%. The final exam will count for 30%. The group project is something where we'll form a group of anywhere between 4 to 6 people, or 7 gets a little too big. But you form a group, and then there are 2 components of that. One is you have to do a presentation, and the other one is you have to hand in a written report for that group project. And the topic, if you have seen the outline, will be on risk management. Typically will be on the new Basel III review, which is actually something very hot these days. You might have heard that due to the COVID-19 situation, that OSFI has delayed the original implementation time by 1 year. But nevertheless, we still have to do that, and it is actually a very good opportunity for people entering into the workforce, and they will understand, the regulatory, the change of the regulatory requirements, and your knowledge of those things will actually help you open some of those doors as well. Now, for the I'm gonna break the video of one, I guess, entire lecture into several pieces. It's probably easier to make videos that way, and it's also better for people to have smaller length clips to remain focused. So for the first class, I'm just going to talk about, initially, I'm just going to talk about some of the important concepts that you may find that, which is the concept for the entire class, for the entire course. So I've broken them into 7 pieces. So right now, when you look at them, maybe they don't really, come to you as something very meaningful, or but I hope that at the end of the course, you can come back and look at them. That forms a summary of the things that we have learned, the key stuff that we've learned in this course. So to begin with, we're going to talk about stochastic processes. And in particular, we're going to talk about something very important in stochastic calculus, which is the Ito's lemma. In a nutshell, Ito's lemma basically tells you that if you have a stochastic process, and then you have a function, a differentiable function of that stochastic process. And Ito's lemma will tell you what process that function will follow. Okay, so I'm gonna go into some details later on. Second, in the course, we're gonna talk about the concept of risk-neutral valuation, which is actually very important. You probably have heard of a risk-neutral valuation in many different places. We're gonna go into it in a more structured way, I hope. And this also ties with the equivalent martingale measures approach. Then once you're gonna get comfortable with neutral valuation, we're gonna go into constructing a riskless portfolio. And then through that, we're gonna derive fundamental differential equations that will enable people to value financial assets. So basically the solution of the fundamental differential equation will be the price that you're looking for. And to be able to solve that fundamental differential equation, we sometimes need certain structure. And if you have, somehow the underlying process is log normal, then in many cases, you will be able to derive a closed form solution. And the way to derive that closed form solution is related to this topic number 4, which gives you a property and enables you to derive a solution for the asset, a closed form solution. Now, if you don't have, you are not able to derive a closed form solution, you can always resort to numerical solutions. And then in most cases, if you have more flexible assumptions on the underlying stochastic process, you probably would then have to go through numerical routines, because you probably wouldn't be as lucky to get a closed form solution. In those cases, you then have to worry about the convergence and computational complexity and those kind of aspects of things. In this course, we're also going to talk about numerical computation, numerical approaches to solve financial, well, to price. But we're just gonna spend one lecture for that, which is about 3 hours. But I believe there is an entire course on that. So if you want to have a deeper understanding on the numerical aspect of it, you can take that course. Topic number 5, equivalent martingale measures approach. Is a very important concept. And then throughout the course, you will actually find yourself encounter this approach again and again and again. So it really helps you to guide your thinking. Before you start tackling a problem, you really put yourself put your mind in this framework, and that will really guide you to your process. You'll form a very good guidance for you to enable you to approach a question that you probably have never encountered before. We're gonna talk about some specialized ways of looking at financial models. In principle, initially we're going to talk about financial models and pricing mostly from the perspective of equity, so derivatives on stocks. And later on, in the later part of the course, we're going to spend a very large chunk of our time on interest rate structures. So then you get the interest rate swaps and the swaptions and various type of interest rate related financial products. I believe I talked about numerical implementation. A lot of time when you are not able to get a closed form solution, a numerical implementation would really be helpful. So let me end this video right now, and we'll see you again in the next recording.